Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
All right, Brewer fans, welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast with Craig and Vince. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing great, Craig. How are you?
Doing all right. So let's get right into it. The Brewers here as we enter May, obviously did not have a great March. With that being said, they did bounce back and have a fairly good April, given all the ridiculous amount of injuries that have happened to our starting rotation going into the year. And guys like Woody obviously not available to help out yet. We somehow, as of this taping, are at a 500 record as we enter a huge homestand opening series here against the Cubs here, which will certainly be a long season-long battle for the NL Central title. So that's exciting. Hoping to come out to at least one of the Cubs games. But anyway, yeah. So real quick, what is your thoughts real quick recap of what are your thoughts on the Brewers season up to this point, up until May 1st?
Yeah, kind of a slow start. I think things did get better for most of April, 16-11 overall on the month, which obviously is, a pretty decent month. I don't think that this team has really clicked on all cylinders yet, and I don't think we've seen really inspired play yet either, which I guess could be good in the sense that I think that those things are coming, hopefully. I don't think that we put ourselves in such a bad position where we can't make up for lost ground. In fact, we could be in first place by the end of the weekend. That being said, we could also be in last place by the end of or fifth place or fourth place, I should say, by the end of the weekend as well. So it's been kind of blah is the wrong word, but it's just been a so-so start to the season. I think that the injuries have definitely affected us, and I'm hopeful that guys like Tobias Myers can help to stabilize the rotation. I know he's made 2 starts already, but hopefully we've got Woody coming back soon. We haven't heard much about Ashby, and I don't know what's going on with Cortez. We're going to have to ask about that during our next time at the ballpark with our clubhouse passes. But anyways, that's my general thoughts is just it's okay. It's middling.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I mean, if you would have told me we'd have been missing, like, I don't know, 6 of our top 9 starting pitchers for the entire month, I probably would have been like, okay, our season might be torpedoed. It certainly is not. And I feel like they've weathered some of the storm here, and I feel like good warm times are ahead here, and positive times here for not only the Brewers, but for all the folks here who in Wisconsin who have endured basically a lack of a spring. I don't think it's gotten above like 55 degrees most of this year yet, so that sucks. But for the most part,
oh my,
yeah, no, for the most part, hopefully, looking forward to the boys of
it's
summer.
90. It's 90 degrees here today in Texas, Craig.
Yeah. So yeah, lucky bleeps down there in Texas. But all right, so real quick, well, I don't know. We're going to talk about our 4 and 6 road trip. Obviously, the Brewers were doing even better in April going into this last road trip. Obviously, our West Coast road trips traditionally for the Brewer Crew have always been a little bit of a bugaboo. But I mean, going out to the Giants they're a very good team this year, apparently. Even in spite of Willie Adames' struggles with them. They're basically, I think, still above the standing of the Dodgers, which is pretty impressive. But
no, they're 2.5 games back. They're 2.5 back of the Dodgers right now.
Okay, well, like I said, a bad weekend. But anyway, yeah. So obviously losing a series in St. Louis, not fun. We did win the series against the White Sox but should have been really swept in my opinion. So anyway, I don't know if you have many thoughts on the road trip, but outside of that, I guess let's talk about here in the last couple of weeks. We have had debuts by a couple of Brewers, first-time Brewers, and that's Cale Durbin, Logan Henderson attended that game, and then Craig Yoho. So what are your thoughts on, and has Daz Cameron made his Brewer debut yet?
Yeah, he's played 3 games already.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, I got to stop working so much. Yeah, cool. So I guess throw him in the mix. Who's impressed you with their Brewer debuts, so to speak? And a lot of those being MLB debuts, actually. And then here as we start the season.
Well, let's go back. I think we should talk about the road trip just briefly, at least. I think that the Giants series was really rough, obviously, and I don't know what it is about playing the Giants. It seems like every time we go to that ballpark, it's kind of a disaster. I know that we've had some success against them in more recent years, but if you go back even to like several decades, it seems like every time we go on the trip to San Francisco, that it never ends well for Milwaukee. So it's kind of weird seeing Willie in a Giants uniform. And again, I just think that we're not getting the pitching that we need. And I do think it speaks to like a bigger trend. And I'm just trying to get my notes here from Scotty's interns, but our record on the road right now is 7-12 overall in the season. I mean, so it's not just a West Coast thing. This has been a problem all year already in the first month of the season. So I don't know what it is about the road that is different from last year, where the Brewers actually played pretty well, but it certainly has been a marked problem, I think, for the Brewers all year.
Yeah. And again, that's throughout sport. Obviously, I love playing at home a little bit more than on the road, but here in baseball, there's usually not as big of a road issue, so to speak. Yeah, no, I think we played some tough teams on the road, obviously Yankees and Giants and whatever. So
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think we'll be fine as the summer goes on here on the road. But yeah, no,
I hope so. But looking at the Cubs, they've also played some tough teams on the road and played them very well. So we need to, we do need to keep pace in our division, and we certainly can't take anything for granted. I for one, don't think that the Cubs is, improved a ton over the offseason, and we've all given our division predictions, obviously. But I do think we do need to kind of pay attention to what they're doing already as well. That's why this is such a pivotal series starting tonight in Milwaukee. But to get back to your other question, Craig, about these debuts, Logan Henderson, that game that you went to, what a treat that must have been to be at that game. I watched it as it was happening, and it was awesome to see Logan make that debut. Obviously, a much heralded Brewers pitching prospect. Really exciting to see him and his family there. Craig Yoho had a really rough outing yesterday in Chicago against the White Sox, but overall, I'm still very, very hyped for Craig. I think that, I don't know if the White Sox just timed that changeup really exceptionally well yesterday, or if he was just put in a bad situation where, he essentially had to serve a few meatballs after inheriting some runners or what. But overall, Yoho's stuff has looked pretty electric to me outside of that one bad outing. Dan Cameron, I think he brings, a little speed to the team, and it's pretty cool. Just because the connection he has with his dad, Mike, he is, I guess this could be our Aflac trivia question here of the day, but did you know that Mike Cameron is one of 3 sets of father and son combinations, Craig? We put this out. I know we talked about it before in our pre-production meeting, and I put this out our interns put it out on social media, but he joins, Daz and his dad, Mike, joined Tito and Terry Francona and Dave and Derek May as the 3rd set of father-sons to play for the Brewers over the years. And Caleb Durbin, I mean, I still think he's best slotted as a utility guy overall in the arch of his career, but I do like the fact that he is an upgrade over what we had going at third base. Obviously, Oliver Dunn wasn't working out. Neither is Vinny Capra. Neither is Joey Ortiz right now at shortstop offensively, for what it's worth, though, either. And I am excited to see Durbin get a ton of at-bats. He's obviously had a couple of base running miscues already because he's aggressive, but I don't mind that, to be honest. So I think that, Durbin is stepping in and filling in nicely on the team right now, and I still think he's best slotted as a utility guy overall over the course of his career, but excited to see him get some playing time right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really holding out a lot of hope that Tim Dillard, one of his sons, I think their names are Brooks and Hayes, will eventually become a Brewer too. To add to that legacy of father and son combination played for the Milwaukee Brewers. But
Of course.
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it's Jaden Fielder.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Actually, yeah. No, that'd be actually.
Jaden Fielder's already in the system, and I should point out that down here in Houston, CC Sabathia, his son plays for the University of Houston, so CC's actually down here pretty often.
All right, cool. Hopefully the Brewers are scouting him. Absolutely. So,
yep.
Yeah, the Henderson debut again was pretty interesting. Obviously the Brewers, it was one of the more entertaining games I've ever attended live, which is saying something. The Brewers obviously broke the franchise record for stolen bases that game against the A's, and Logan Henderson really stymied the A's lineup for 6 innings. Then he had 9 strikeouts, and the Brewer, it was pretty much a rout, and there was all positivity in the ballpark, and not too big of a crowd, but I mean, yeah, it was fun. Lots of his family, I think, were there, and unfortunately, he got sent down to the minor leagues right away after that start. But I think it was kind of already understood that he was going to be up just for one turn through the rotation, and I think this bodes well for his future chances of making a permanent rotation member here as a Milwaukee Brewer. Obviously, it's like acing your interview or something like that when you just got hired. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, watch him in the minor leagues here, and expect him to be back up at some point here in the 2025 season for the Milwaukee Brewers. But yeah, Craig Yoho, again, that was much anticipated bullpen.
I should quickly interrupt, Craig. Logan's another Houston guy too, oddly enough.
Yeah, that's cool.
Weird.
Guys from here.
We're pulling a ton of guys from this area for whatever reason.
Yeah. And yeah, Yoho, obviously his devastating changeup is up in the bullpen, which can only be a positive thing. I know Brian Hudson, had got sent down, and the Brewers bullpen has been hanging in there, but again, it has not as been as much of a strength it has been over the better part of the last 6 or 7 years, obviously. Uh, but I really feel like it'll be pointing up very soon, and I still really have a lot of faith in our talent in the bullpen. And then Caleb Durbin, who again got his major league debut finally after spending a month in the minor leagues. And again, I think he's solidified up to this point. He's shown that he belongs in the majors. Let's put it that way. He's looked pretty good defensively, actually, at third base, and has held his own with the bat. He puts in some quality at bats, and even though he's kind of a menace on the bases and for someone of his stature, he has made a few base running gaffes, so to speak, and he even got reprimanded a little bit for that. But I mean, overall, I think he's
only one stolen base too on the year right now too, Craig. So he's 1 for 2 in stolen base attempts on the season. He got caught stealing once as well.
Yeah. So again, all this is kind of part of the growing pain process or whatever. But overall, I think he's been a positive addition to the team, especially. We were not getting much production out of that third base hole at all. And we kind of knew that going into the season as Brewer fans, and we're disappointed that they didn't do much more to upgrade the position. And now we're seeing the reasons why. So one of the key, I was want to take now, the next segment here is to talk a little bit what probably if the Brewers end up having a successful 2025 season. I think they're going to look back, and one of the key moves of the offseason, without doubt, in my mind, is going to be the late offseason signing of veteran left-handed pitcher Jose Quintana. He's been absolutely lights out. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on his start, and I guess why do you think that he was left out there, the free agent, so long, given his track record by all these teams that obviously we would think would be interested in the old adage if you can never have too much pitching, and him still being available to us, luckily.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams have, especially kind of at the back end of their rotations, which is how I think a lot of teams viewed Quintana this offseason. I think that they've been trying to skimp the corners a little bit, and they can go cheaper and they can get younger guys and not spend, several extra millions of dollars on a free agent arm. Quintana's is making $5 million this year. So it's not like he's making nothing, but it's not an exorbitant amount for a guy of Quintana's pedigree, especially, for a team like the Brewers to put that money out there and big market teams not to. It does seem kind of funny and strange. And, he had a 3.75 ERA last year, but he still had a 2.5 WAR. Kind of looking over some of his stats from Scotty's interns right now. He threw 170 innings last year, which was actually his highest total since 2019. I mean, to me, he's a quality bet if you're going to bet on a veteran free agent starter. In fact, I hope that the Brewers bring him back for next year at this point. Looking at some of his numbers already on the year, in his 4 starts, he has posted a 1.14 ERA. He's obviously won all 4 games, 4-0, 23 and 2/3 innings pitched already. So a pretty incredible start. He's only given up 1 home run in his 4 starts at this point, too.
No, and I've got
15 strikeouts compared to 8 walks. He's not even much of a strikeout pitcher typically.
No, I mean, and I've gotten to see a lot of his starts, both in person on TV, and it's just, I don't know, one of my favorite quotes out there, which I think is attributed to either Ken Burns or Billy Beane, both great men, but is how can you not be romantic about baseball? And that's
Billy Beane. Yeah, love it.
That is the fact that here you are with a veteran pitcher who, he was initially a prospect way back in the day, and then he came up, had some struggles, had some successes, had a long career of kind of bopping around different teams and whatnot. And then he got to the point where like most other teams are like, well, we could possibly get this guy some money, but I don't know. And we kind of think of the fork is stuck in him with career wise, but we're not really that interested. And he kind of reminds me of the same timing of like when the Brewers decided to sign Wade Miley a few years back. And then you watch him pitch and you're like, who is not on this guy? I mean, he's all of a sudden just like a mastery of his domain. And again, one of the most beautiful things, not just in baseball, but in all of sport, in my opinion, is a veteran watching a veteran pitcher carve up another team because it's like I mean, it's like watching, a famous painter paint one of their masterpieces. I mean, and again, another player that was one of my favorite all-time pitchers and awesome to watch was Greg Maddux, of course. And the reason he never had awesome stuff, was never that highly touted of a prospect necessarily, but he was just so awesome because of the command of his pitches and because pitching is such a cerebral game that when you it's a guessing game between you and the hitter, and you have to know the tendencies of the other hitter, and you have to think what they're guessing you're going to throw, and then do something else or put it somewhere else. And so you have to not only have the knowledge, but the command, the experience, all that stuff. Man, it's like anything else in life where, like, if you come up all these rookie pitchers in their early 20s that come up and you're like, oh, this guy's got awesome stuff. He's going to be awesome. Like, as an example, Jacob Mizrowski, we're all excited for him, but there's really no doubt that he's going to probably come up to the big leagues and struggle for a first couple of years of his career. Where he's really going to be good is once he, given that, he actually has that long enough career. But when he gets past the age of 30, he's going to have gone through all the growing pains. He's going to figured out and learned how to pitch, so to speak, and know all the nuances of pitching. It's like a chess match, and that's the beauty of it, in my opinion. And so, going back to Quintana now, off my little soapbox, is that watching him pitch. I mean, he's putting the ball exactly where he wants. He's painting the corners. He's not giving in to any hitters. They're not getting anything they really want to hit. He's even pitching to contact. And in some ways, and successfully with the awesome defense behind him, I think really benefits a ground ball pitcher like him. And so he's kind of just emerged out of nowhere as this cagey veteran that is just hitting his stride somehow. And again, I think a large portion of that is the awesome defense behind him with the Milwaukee Brewers have built. But not only that, I don't think the Brewers have any necessary magic. I really think that Jose Quintana just got to the point of his career where he is starting to really be a master of his domain, so to speak. And again, don't get me wrong, he's not going to probably pitch like a Cy Young Award contender the entire year, but watching him pitch at this stage of his career so far has been absolutely a thing of beauty.
Yeah, it really has. I'm actually really excited to see him pitch in person at some point this year. He was not with the team yet. Just over 3 weeks ago, the last time I saw the Brewers in person, which was the Denver trip for Milwaukee. He came up right after that when the team went to Arizona. So I have not actually seen him pitch live yet. I'm really excited with the Brewers. I'm sure I've seen him pitch over the years, but really excited to watch him pitch this season. And like you point out, he's not gonna post a 1.14 ERA for the duration of the 2025 season. But that being said, I do think that there is something to the idea that he has kind of attained that. I don't know. I look at it as sort of like a professor. He's teaching a master class out there, and I do think that it's great that with a team like the Brewers, that one night you've got Logan Henderson literally making his big league debut, then you've got Jose Quintana making his in his age 36 season, has been pitching since 2012, and then the next day we've got Chad Patrick, who's a rookie, and it's a fun group of guys to watch, quite frankly. And I think that the starting pitching has been really one of the more exciting things just to watch from a fan's perspective this year, despite all the injuries and despite how weird it's been, just missing like 8 guys from our original projections from the pitching staff. But this has been a fun group of guys to watch.
No, absolutely. And again, so you got to be rooting for these guys like the Chad Patricks of the world who are getting this opportunity, where again, they were not that highly touted of a prospect. They were kind of earmarked as possibly a back end rotation starter that would stick in the major leagues for a couple of years before possibly, and you never know with these guys. Maybe they'll turn it, really just turn into something like Tobias Myers did for the Brewers last year. But everyone thinks that the
Yeah.
Brewers have this awesome pitching lab that no matter who we acquire or who we just trot out there, is successful, and all there's some truth to that in my opinion. However, I still think, harking back to the poor, our awesome defense in the outfield and infield is really and also to give him credit, our awesome all-star catcher Contreras, how he calls the game. All those things are huge factors in the success of our pitching staff, in my opinion, up until this point.
Yeah.
And so the way that the Brewers have been built is definitely benefiting our pitchers, and so kudos once again to our front office for that. There's just no doubt. So
Yeah, Eric Haas too, I think calls a great game. So even when we're using our backup catcher, I still think that the Brewers are benefiting from having cerebral catchers as well, guys who have the experience or the knowledge to call a great game. And looking at Chad Patrick's line, he's already got he's only 1-3 on his record, but he does have a 2.87 ERA, so a sub-3 ERA from again another rookie who's posting great numbers so far on the season, and a guy who, I think that he was in the conversation for being somebody that was on the bubble to make the team or to potentially contribute to the starting rotation at some point this year or next year. But here he is; he's pitching big games for us already this season
yeah,
and doing
absolutely.
well.
And I still think the Brewers have not seen the best of their offense this season yet either. I think that we have not seen the best of Jackson Churio. We have not seen the best of Christian Yelich per se, and definitely not of recent
Yeah.
Hoskins. I think that there's still better to come from him. And especially the one guy that I don't want to say disappointed in, but like I was expecting to have some of a breakout with an opportunity so far, and that's Garrett Mitchell has not hit well
Well,
yet.
yeah,
And
and
again,
Mitchell's
part of
on the
that.
disabled list now too.
Yeah, and now of course he's got that injury prone tag. But part of that, and we already talked about this, is that he was not been given every day at bats, which he was somewhat platooned. And no offense to Isaac Collins, once again, he's just had his first major league home run actually, which is pretty cool. But no, I really think in order for Mitchell to take the next step in his development, so to speak, at the major league level, he's going to have to be given every day at bats. So hopefully, once he's healthy, the Brewers
Yeah.
figure that out for him. And yeah, so all right, well,
Well, actually, Craig, I still want to follow up on that too because one guy you didn't mention either way is Joey Ortiz, and to me, that's been the biggest disappointment so far this year is Ortiz. We know how great he is defensively, and if he ends up being just a defensive shortstop, I guess I'm okay with that. But that means that we really need to get a third baseman that can hit. So to me, that means you slide at some point Durbin into that utility role, and then you bring in a third baseman with some pop. But and maybe that's from our system, or maybe it's from without. But either way, you can't have a black hole offensively at shortstop and third base.
no, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the long term, you know, makeup of our club here, it seems that, once all our pitchers get healthy, we might have some nice little surplus of pitching. I do also should give a shout out to a couple of our upper level pitching prospects who are having great seasons so far, and that's Jacob Mizorowski, we mentioned, and also even Carlos Rodriguez is pitching really well down there. So those are guys who
Yeah.
haven't contributed or even been considered for consideration to contribute at this level yet. But I mean, once everyone's healthy, we're going to have a little bit of surplus, with Patrick, with Henderson, so maybe we can have some trade bait. And again, we have some nice pieces at the upper levels, whether it be Tyler Black or someone maybe like Garrett Mitchell could be expendable to try to upgrade a position like third base. But we'll see how it plays out. So all right, well, I
Yeah.
did want to get to one of our favorite segments, of course, and I assume our listeners' favorite segment. As we know, it was Scott's. It's definitely one of Scott's. And hopefully he
Yeah.
calls in
Scotty
here.
here today, by the way, Craig? Is Scott here?
I don't know. I gave him the number, so hopefully he'll be chiming in here, but I'm not sure. We're probably gonna have to get
Chad?
this started
Yeah.
without him, but we've got the Rapid Nine here, which
All right.
again, the Rapid Nine innings has been working out for Major League Baseball. The change they put in
But
with
we
the
can
pitch
take our
clock.
time, right? Because you just take our time and give answers, even if we have to get into detail and stuff.
Well, since we love baseball, I'm fine with us taking time with the whole 9 inning thing. But apparently, my children like the rapid 9 innings at Major League Baseball, and so do a lot of lot of the other attendees, but I'm fine going into extras if need be, whenever possible. But as long as
Yeah, doubleheader.
as long as we get the W. So anyway, really hoping to be flying the L all weekend here at Miller Park, or I'm sorry, at AmFam Field here for the Cub
Yeah,
fans.
I hope so. And don't forget tonight it's on Apple TV, Craig. So for those who are listening to us like right before the game starts, I know that our interns are going to post this shortly after we tape. So don't forget it's on Apple TV tonight, not the normal whatever it's called now,
Yeah,
Valley Sports, not Valley Sports. Yeah, dual
yeah,
Fan.
yeah.
What is it called? FanDuel. Yeah, it's not on there. It's on Apple.
Yep, absolutely. All right, here we go with first inning of our rapid nine. Vince, you can start us off, lead off here for all these, I guess. Or do you want me to
All
go
right.
all your other?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so which 2025 Milwaukee Brewer has been the most deserving of an all-star vote at this point?
William Contreras.
Excellent. I will go with Bryce Trang.
Yeah, that's a
And
great pick.
let's go on to number.
We could only pick one, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think as we get closer to All-Star break, we'll try to predict all of our All-Stars or whatever. But I mean, assuming we'll have multiple. Yeah. So just for now, who's the most deserving of, if you know, of an actual vote? Yeah. So
No, I love Terang. Terang and Frelick were definitely part of my thought process there. William Contreras, I only said him because of the position that he plays. So, but yeah, I'll go Contreras.
okay. All right, second inning. Which MLB team has surprised you the most so far in 2025, good or bad?
I think the Braves have surprised me the most, not in a good way.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. I'm gonna go with the Padres. I did not think that they were going to be a very good team this year, but so far they have been proven wrong. We'll see how the whole season plays out, though. But they're a little bit surprising to me, as I thought the other teams, even my Diamondbacks, were a stronger team than them. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. So, all right, third inning. Predict which month, or I guess if not this season, the year even, that Jacob Misiorowski makes his Brewers debut.
Well, we already messed up on this because I was listening to one of our previous podcasts in the last few days, Craig, and it sounds like we were both wrong. We had talked about Misiorowski over-under making his big league debut by the 15th of April, like being called up in the first couple of weeks. And you said no, but by May 1st. I said before April 15th. So we were both wrong. So at this point, I'm going to
wrong
say,
again.
yeah, here we go. So here's the thing. And you made this point in that episode, and I think you're right. So the Brewers and Misiorowski seem to have mutually come up with a plan to keep him as a starter, which means that they're going to work him out and get him some long innings down in Nashville. And I don't think that I think if he were a reliever, he would already be in the big leagues like now. I think he would have come up before Yoho even. So because of that, and because of some starting pitchers returning, I'm going to say he makes his big league debut this year, but I'm going to say it's going to be, I'll say July.
Okay. And given the fact that we've been so wrong, I'm even more conservative to say August. I do think, yeah, like looking at he's making strides in minor leagues, and because he's doing that, I don't want to bring him up too quickly for him to be set him up for failure, then be sent right back down. So I think that he should have a sustained record of success still in the minor leagues before we promote him, in my opinion. Looking at his last start, actually, I didn't even look at the strikeouts, but I looked 6 innings pitched, like no runs, I think, and no walks. And I was like, whoa, okay, he's turned a corner here. So we'll see again.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's what we needed to see after his spring training results. Because I think that especially with the injuries, Misiorowski actually did have a chance to make the team as a starter coming out of the spring, but his walk ratio was so atrocious in spring training that it just couldn't happen. He wasn't ready yet. So I'm hopeful that he gets in a little bit more experience as a starter. And I think once he gets used to that routine and he makes the adjustments that I'm sure that he's, Rick Sweet and the coaching staff down there are working on with him, I think that he'll be fine. I'm not as worried about him as Brandon was in our prospect episode last month. So I'm confident that he's going to be an outstanding starting pitcher.
No, and I agree. And at this point, if he continues on, he's most likely going to be ticketed in the next month or two to be like the number one starting pitching prospect in baseball, which is pretty exciting. But again, not to overhype it, but he's definitely got a very, very high ceiling. So all right, fourth inning, I believe here. What current Brewer on the 26 man do you feel would you be most willing to trade before the July 31st trade deadline?
I mean, willing to trade or somebody that we could actually get something of value back for. I'd
Well,
love to trade Vinny Capra for anything. No,
I guess if you're the GM,
whoever.
what player are you most I don't want to, well, that kind of changes the whole question, like looking to trade, but like, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess,
realistically, Craig, I honestly don't know how many guys I'd deal from our big league roster at this point. I think that we need to be acquiring guys and we need to use our minor league prospect capital to do it if need be. So I guess the one guy on the bubble that I would consider would be Savali of all people once he's healthy. I don't think that we necessarily need him in the rotation, even with all the injuries upon him coming back. I'm not necessarily sure that he could be an answer as a huge help for our rotation. And maybe I'll eat crow on this later on, and he'll have a huge impact on the Brewers in the second half or something. But if Savali comes back and he's healthy and he can pitch, I still think that we could look to trade him. And he might have some value as a starting pitcher with some track record of success in the past. And he's in his contract block year, so I feel like teams wouldn't necessarily have to worry about a long-term commitment with him or anything.
yeah, that's a good pick. I was leaning like possibly like Yoel Payamps, but again, his value is so low, it's probably not worth trading. So I'll just throw Garrett Mitchell out there. Just because I think he still has a high value and possibly we can land a premium third baseman or something like that for him and still have a
Are
decent.
you worried about selling low on him with an injury, though? I mean, he's already injured this season. I feel like we're selling low.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean the same could be said of Savali, but yeah, no, I
Yeah,
absolutely. I
definitely.
guess I'm hoping he goes on a tear before that. But no, and again, I like you're saying, I prefer not to trade like anyone. But yeah, well, we shall see, I guess. At some
Yep.
point, I'm just saying there's going to be a crunch on the 26 man once everyone's healthy. I mean, unfortunately, getting guys like Quinn Priester has really helped us out. But once everyone's healthy, is there a role for someone like him? I mean, so
Oh, I think that Priester was acquired as a long-term piece of our rotation. I mean, he's under contract for a number of seasons. I mean, he's barely played in the majors.
well, no, I know,
I think that we
but
paid a good premium for Priester between the draft pick and Rodriguez. I think the Priester's penciled in as part of our starting rotation for the next 4 seasons.
okay. Well, I just feel like we have other guys that we're gonna have slots to. I mean, obviously, I think Robert Gasser, in my mind, should be ahead of Priester as far as
Yeah,
potential.
but Gasser won't be back till September. You know.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so it'll be hopefully it's a good problem for our front office to have that we have so many good pitchers at some point that there's not enough to. But again, the old adage can't have enough pitching, so we'll see how they handle it or whatever. But I also think we are pretty good overall with our depth in our outfield too. So we'll see. So all right, moving on to the
I
fifth.
don't actually I don't think that this is going to be an issue because we saw Nestor Cortez get put on, like people forget that he's still on the team. He got put on the 60-day DL, so we don't even know what's going on with him. So I think that we're probably going to always have a need for more starting pitchers just around. And when I look at guys of that starting group who might be expendable, that's why I picked Savali. But even him, like I wouldn't mind having him as depth either. It's just we've seen how many injuries cropped up just in spring training. So I am definitely not banking on having too many starting pitchers going forward either.
No, that's true. But the Cortez mention is a perfect segue into our fifth inning question, and that is pick the over under on 2025 inning pitch for Nestor Cortez, 100 innings.
Under for sure. I mean, I don't even know if he's ever going to come back. We may have seen his
Yeah, you
Brewers
spoke.
career spiral.
Unfortunately,
He pitched in 2 games.
yeah, I'm going to say under two, unfortunately. Okay, same question, sixth inning, over under on Brandon Woodruff, 100 innings pitched in 2025.
I know that they're going to be careful with his innings, but I also know he's a horse. I'm going to say over. That's really
Yeah,
optimistic. I'll say
again,
I'll
I
say
have so
over.
much faith in him and obviously his build and everything. But I mean, I'll pick conservatively. I'm going to say the Brewers are going to handle them very, uh,
Yeah,
given their options. I'll say under. I'll say under. So,
he threw six in Nashville 2 days ago, right? I mean,
yep.
so that was kind of exciting. That's at least what our anonymous source Tom Carter told me. He was at the game and he was scouting him out, and he's like, "Yeah, they let him pitch six, and I think his pitch count got up to what did I see, high 80s somewhere in there." So yeah, I mean, who knows? He's been obviously diligently working at coming back and being able to give you length, but I don't think we're going to see him throw complete games this year or anything. But I do think we could see 6 innings, 7 innings sometimes. On a majority of his starts, and he's talented enough to get through the fifth most of the time. So you figure if he's starting games starting in hopefully mid-May for the big league team, you've got, June, July, August, September, 4.5 months of pitching every fifth day, hopefully, knock on wood, at least 5 innings. So we'll see.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. The
And thanks
seventh
to
inning.
Tom for that. Yep.
Who? Oh yeah. Thanks to our source, TC. Thanks. Go by just T Carter, Tom. So, well, thanks for the inside information from
Yeah.
Asheville,
Tom
and we will
Carter.
keep your name anonymous. So, all right, seventh inning. Name the Brewers closer at the conclusion of the 2025 season.
McGill hasn't looked terribly sharp, has he? I'm going to still say it's McGill by the end of the season. I know he's posted a 4.32 ERA and only picked up 3 saves so far. I'm going to go McGill. I think that Uribe is the closer of the future, but I'll say McGill for the rest of this year.
No, absolutely. And I think other people are even, I'm no longer thinking Miz, but some might have been thinking Yoho. I'll also stick with McGill. I think he's going to turn around. It's unbelievable how few have saved chances he's had actually so far.
Yeah.
So, all right, eighth inning. Kind of a very similar question. Predict the Brewers' top 4 starting pitchers in their rotation at the end of the regular season.
Okay. Myers, Woodruff, got Patrick, and I mean, it's so tough with injuries. Quintana, I guess. I still think that Priester is going to get a ton of starts and work this year. So yeah, I guess. Wait, I forgot Freddie. What the heck? Man, Craig, you're putting me on the
This is a tough question.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying. At some point,
it really,
knock
it
on
really
wood, if we're all
is,
healthy,
because
we literally have 8 legit starting pitchers.
Yeah. So okay, all right. Let me backtrack. So Freddie, I'm still going to include Woodruff because I think he'll be there by the end of the season. I think Tobias has kind of locked it up, and I guess Quintana. But Chad Patrick and Priester, I think both deserve to be there so far too. But okay, we'll go with the 4 I said.
All right, I will go with Freddie, Woody, Quintana, and Aaron Ashby. Which knocks everyone else down. Cortez is a complete question mark. Savali, complete question mark. Priester, Priester and Patrick, solid but depth. And then you're not even talking about guys like Miz and Logan Henderson or any of the other prospects.
Or Tyler Alexander, who's already started, 3 games this year, but it's already in the bullpen too.
And I'm even leaving guys out like DL Hall and possibly Robert Gasser, who could be back at that point. That's what I'm saying. At some point, the Brewers could have a glut of starting pitching where they're talking about if everyone's healthy, they've got like 10 MLB starters, in my opinion. And so that's why I think your pick of Savali as a possible trade candidate makes a ton of sense. Absolutely. So
yeah.
All right. Well, anyway,
Gasser's not going to get on a mound until August. I have a feeling the Brewers are going to be a little slow with him, and I've tried to temper my enthusiasm because I love Robert Gasser, and I think he's really a talented pitcher, and I'm really excited to watch him pitch for the Brewers for many years to come. I do think I've had to temper my excitement or expectations for him a little bit for this season, just because I think that the Brewers, I think it's good that they do this, but they tend to really handle these guys with injuries with kid gloves for quite some time, and I think they're going to give him every opportunity to sort of leisurely make his way back to the rotation, if that makes sense.
I 100% agree with everything you said. I also love Robert Gasser, but don't expect anything from him this year. However, I would like for
Yeah,
him to get a little bit of a cup of coffee in September, if not be a
yeah,
part of our potential playoff rotation or anything like that. But I mean, I do think that he should be penciled in as a 2026 member of the top five starting rotation, just so that he gets major league innings,
yeah.
in my opinion. So, all right. So our ninth inning is going to be one that's probably near and dear to your heart. And I'm going to answer this one first because your answers are going to really be the actual correct ones. But I'm going to say, name the top five best Brewers autograph signers of all time in our 55-year.
Hey, wait, for the entire history of the team?
Yeah. So from the
Okay.
55 years, the five top,
Wow.
if you're a kid that wanted to get an autograph from a former Brewer, these should be the top five. And so I don't even know the answers, but here's my top five. I'm going to go with Bryce Terang, number one. Number two,
Yeah, he's awesome.
Brent
Yep.
Suter. Number three, Don Axford. Number four, Tim Dillard. And number five, Corey Hart.
Now, are you talking about just in person, or can you include mail as well?
Uh, that's up for your own interpretation. The question of the inning is just name the top five best Brewers autograph signers of all time.
Okay, Don August is outstanding. He's got over a 95% return rate on sportscollectors.net. He still lives in the area, so he does a bunch of signings, and he still participates in Brewers events like with the team and stuff. So he's always kind of around. I will say I agree with you on Bryce Terang. He has made a point to sign before games numerous times throughout his 3 seasons now in the big leagues, and it's just really impressive to see him not only take the time to sign for fans, but also to take the time to talk to fans when he's signing. There's some guys that just sort of like they just do it. They feel like they're obligated to, or they just, they got to focus on signing, or maybe they're even doing it for the cameras. But a guy like Terang, one time he signed for, I probably saw him sign for 50, 60 people. And he talked to people. I even talked to him about, the Gold Glove. And this was last season, just the potential of him winning it. And he was so willing to talk. And it was pretty cool just to kind of, have that interaction with him. I will
Well,
also say
he's
Devin
number
Williams
one
was
on Trang's number one on my list because he signed my. I was trying to have my daughter get her ball signed, but instead she had
yeah.
sign her Hello Kitty fanny pack, which she did through a
I
friend.
was there.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
I'm going to say Devin Williams is outstanding, and he always took the time to sign. I'm trying to think of who else would be good from this year's Brewers. I mean, Jared Koenig. I've never seen him not sign an autograph. Seriously, like he will always come over. He will always sign. He will always talk to you. He's a really nice guy. Last year, he even took the time to talk to me enough to he's like, do you want me to sign it with 47 or my current number? I'm like, well, he goes, because I'm going to get 47 back next year. I'm like, 47 belongs to Montas. Like, you gave that to him when he got traded to the Brewers. I'm like, are you saying he's not going to be here next year? He goes, yeah, I'm saying that, but you probably can't say that publicly. So he was even willing to say something like that. So I appreciated him. So I'll say Jared Koenig, and let's go old school for the last one and say, I know we're trying to hustle through this. Trying to think of something good.
Well,
Gosh,
I know
Craig,
that you were back when you got some autographs back in as a
yeah, like Pat.
basketball boy.
I will say Ricky Bonus. Ricky Bonus. That's who I'm going to go with. He signed for everybody walking in when he was a player for the Brewers back in the 90s. Him and Cal Eldred both, and Eldred actually still signs for the mail, as does Bill Wegman. So both of those guys would definitely go on the list as well as strong honorable mentions. In fact, I recently wrote to Wegman as part of a Decades team project I've been working on, and he ended up not only signing what I sent him, but he sent back on his own 4 or 5 different cards. So I actually should go with Wegman.
Nice. And I've probably mentioned this on the podcast many, many times, but I feel like every single Brewer game I attended during my entire youth was started by Bill Wegman. So I don't know if that ages me or just speaks to.
He pitched for the Brewers for 10 plus years. I mean, it's not like he just played for a little while. He was on the team for quite some time.
Yeah, and again, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, that's not bad. It's not great, but it's not like but we might not lose. But anyway, yeah.
Brewers, part of the Brewers decade team of the 1990s. Bill Wegman is in that rotation. I will also say that he has a 96% return rate on sportscollectors.net. I just looked it up, or I had Scotty's interns look it up, and 96%.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Shania. That was great information. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, that's all I got for today's episode. Do you have anything else to add, Vince?
No, just it's a big series here coming up, Craig. I hope that we come out of this with 3 wins against the Cubs. And for those of you who do not, please give us a on Twitter. Send any questions that you have to Brew Crew Review Podcast with an S at gmail.com, and Scotty will get to your questions in time for our next episode.
All right. Stay classy, Northern Illinois FIBs, as you come off for the weekend, and go Brewers.
Yeah. Thanks for the money, guys. Go Brewers. Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Gregers. Thanks, Scotty.
And thank you, Vikram, for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Vikram.